everyone. Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Clamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. I'm just trying to stay warm because it is butt-ass cold here in Arkansas. I apologize for being late. I guess glad no one was in the chat waiting for me. I got a phone call at the last minute, so right before I was supposed to come on, and I had to take the phone call. So it was important, and I'm also waiting on another important phone call. Because I'm waiting for the internet lady to call me. And it don't look like she's going to call me back before closing time, so I'm going to have to go up there tomorrow, looks like. That's always been one of my biggest pet peeves, is waiting on people. Like waiting on the gas man to show up, or the cable man to show up, or somebody that's got to come do some kind of survey at your house for some reason or whatever, because you can't do anything. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. But anyway, I am going to be going live later to discuss the Idaho 4 case, but I wanted to jump on here and just talk about these new developments and new suspects in the Michael Monkey Vaughn case. Michael Monkey Vaughn was kidnapped from his home in Fruitland, Idaho. Two suspects, Stacy Wandra and his wife, oh shit, my mind just went blank. Anyway, the Wanderers have been arrested in conjunction with the disappearance of Michael Monkey Vaughn. Hey, Pam, how are you? I'm doing all right. Just, I've been throwing up and stuff again, and so I'm not really feeling very well today. And like I said, just trying to stay warm because it is colder than a well digger's butt here. Yeah, Monkey's mom's name is Brandy. When I was trying to think of the Wandra's name, you know how my mind goes blank. When I'm talking sometimes. Anyway, the police have some new suspects that they have. You're at work on your lunch break. Okay. Have some new suspects. And one of these suspects, Jonathan Lee Riches, did an interview with. And, you know, I'm not trying to be ugly, but we already know that the Wandras are not coloring with a full box of crayons. And apparently they will just let any Tom, Dick, and Harry move in with them. Well, they just literally took some people off the streets and let them, you know, crash on their couch. And exactly. Hell, I need a helmet right now anyway, because I need a helmet myself. I need tell Griff I need him to send me a hard hat, because we have all these little acorns around here on all these trees. I got hit right between the eyes with one the other day. And those things, the wind will blow and those things just come pelting down. And they're hitting my, metal roof. And it sounds like bombs going off. And it just it's what color pink, of course. It's got to be pink. Pink is my favorite color. But Jonathan Lee Riches did an interview with one of the guys that they just let move in with them and crash on their couch. Total stranger that they just met. And his name is Brandon Shurtliff. Not to be confused with the Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. No. Let's turn yourself in, Brandon Shurtliff. You're not going to be enjoying any more beer and hot tubs and doing interviews about the disappearance and murder of a 5-year-old child, little Michael Monkey Vaughn. You sick perverts. This guy goes on Shurtliff. It is S-H-U. Okay. Shurtliff. Brandon Shurtliff. Instead of like a shirt, like you would spell it S-H-I-R-T, it's S-H-U-R-T-L-I-F-F. And you got to go over to Jonathan Lee Riches' page and scroll down through all the latest Idaho stuff that he's been covering and see the interview that he does with this Brandon Shurtliff guy. This guy looks like he is trying to reminds me of, it's all good. Hope you're filling neighbors out or people. Yeah, you just can't let any Tom, Dick, and Harry move in your house off the street. It's just, yeah, you can't. You can't allow anything like that because there are just, and that's a shame. Because there are too many crazy people out here. There are too many people who are on the run. They're from the police. There's SOs and I don't. Well, yeah, watch the video and you'll get to see him shirtless. But there's just too many crazy people, weirdos, murderers, running around out there. You used to could pick up a hitchhiker. Now you can't do things like that. And that's sad. But this guy goes on Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates channel and does this interview like he is on an episode of Lifestyles and the Rich and Famous with Ed McMahon. Wasn't it Ed McMahon that used to host that show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous? I think it was. I'm talking, he's sitting in a hot tub with no clothes on, shirtless, and drinking a beer like he is some hot stud, on Pornhub or something. And I'm like, you are doing an interview regarding a missing and murdered child. Like, who does that? Just insane. And it was comical, to the viewer, but yet this is a very serious topic. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, they will. It's just not safe anywhere. And even people nowadays, you can't even trust anymore. Like, you'll wake up one morning and your TV's gone. It's awful. But the police want to talk to not only this Brandon Shurtliff guy, they also want to talk to this man named Adrian. And I was late coming on, so I didn't get a chance to post the link in the description box to watch the full press conference that the Fruitland police did, but I'm just search Fruitland police or Michael Monkey Vaughn press conference. You should find it. I know some channels streamed it, streamed it today. And then what is I think the channel is WTVB, if I'm not mistaken. Go to WTVB and find it. Exactly, really. Like, okay, you're sitting here in a hot tub drinking beer like you're on an episode of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, talking about how these two weirdos that are trying to build a cab service out of their house took you in off the street and bought you food and whatnot, and gave you a job, and like, have we moved on up, George and Wheezy? I mean, God, just so comical, yet disgusting in the same breath. And because we are talking about a missing child, we are talking about a dead child, as far as we know. And just like, that's to set yourself up in a hot tub with a beer to do an interview about a missing, murdered child. That's just completely disgusting. But I don't think any of these people are playing with a full deck of cards or coloring with a full box of crayons, to be honest with you. They all seem weird. They all seem suspect. They all look a little pedophilia-ish. Oh, okay. You've been Pam, I've had a lot going on personally. My depression is really bad right now, because, not only do I have actual clinical depression, I have seasonal depression, which, once the weather, because I'm an outdoor person, and, I love the sunshine, I love the water, I love to, enjoy the fresh air. I'm an outdoor person. It was hard to drag me in the house growing up. Unlike these kids today who are growing up in the, electronic era. They don't even know what a street light is. You come home when them street lights come up. What's a street light? I kid you not. You're going to die laughing. These boys came, see, today's Thursday, came Tuesday to run the new line for me to get fiber optic Wi-Fi here where I live. Yeah, I'm finally getting Wi-Fi. But they finally showed up Tuesday to run the line. And it was these 5 young numbskulls who showed up. And you know, I mean, one of them looked to be a little bit older than the rest of them, but the rest of them didn't look like they were barely out of high school. And I asked them, I was like, hey, do y'all like true crime? And one of them, I shit you not, looks at me and says, what's true crime? Dude, you really need to get out of Hempstead County, out of the woods of Hempstead County, and see what's going on in the real world. I kid you not. And I said, true crime is, you know, real crime, people that go out and kill people and kidnap little kids. And, you know, he's just not even registering with me. And I'm just like, oh. I said, well, I was going to tell y'all, you know, I was trying to do a little self-promotion. You know, well, I was going to tell y'all should subscribe to my podcast. You know, maybe if you like true crime or whatever. They didn't even know what it was. Their worst crime is hitting a deer at 75 miles an hour. Anyway, so needless to say, I didn't get new subscribers out of those guys. But back to Michael Monkey Vaughn. This Adrian guy, and do not even ask me what his actual name is, because I can't even pronounce it. So we're just going to say the Adrian guy that, Sarah's her name, Sarah Wandra. That Sarah Wandra has been mumbling and mentioning and talking about. He saying that, you know, he thinks that, or she thinks that Stacy and this Adrian guy buried him in the neighbor's yard or something like that. Whatever it is, she's been saying to the police. Anyway, the Fruitland police are looking for him. They showed big, humongous, blown up pictures of both of them and asked that they turn themselves in and that that charges are forthcoming. They are fixing to take anybody and everybody down that possibly knows anything or has any involvement in the disappearance and murder of Michael Monkey Vaughn. And you know what? I don't give a shit. You can take everybody in that neighborhood to jail for all I care. Find out what happened to that little boy. And then we'll sort it all out later. Like I said, I don't care who you have to arrest, who you have to threaten, who you have to take in the back room and make a nasty deal with, or what. We need to know who hurt this little boy, where his remains are, and you're going to rot in prison. It's that simple. Because I'm sorry, when it comes to hurting little kids, the law goes out the door for me. Okay. Well, good. Well, enjoy the rest of your day at work, and I will hopefully be talking to you soon. Take care. But, the law goes out the damn door as far as I'm concerned when it comes to hurting little kids. I don't care whose rights you violate. I don't care who has to sit in jail. I don't care if you take somebody in on a jaywalking ticket. I don't care about anybody else's rights when it comes to hurting a child or knowing that someone hurt a child, killed a child, or SO'd a child, or SA'd, or anything of that sort. I have no, and I'm all about rights, but you ain't got no rights. But when that guy did that interview with Jonathan Lee Riches, not only was, the whole hot tub and beer incident just absolutely insane, the things that he said to Jonathan were very peculiar. And, these people tried to, I think, at least Sarah did, tried to deny any kind of involvement in drugs or doing drugs or anything like that. But, yeah, I think they're all strung out. I think they're all on dope. She can praise Jesus all she wants to. I think they're all. But, I noticed that when he was telling Jonathan all of the events of the day that Michael Monkey Vaughn went missing, it was like he was being detailed, yet he was being vague in the same breath. Like some things that he was saying just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But one thing I noticed was that he sure seemed to be spending a lot of time with Sarah away from her husband. Like, she took him out to eat. They went to Applebee's, or, she just seemed to be around these guys a little too much without her husband around. And per his say, Brandon Shurtliff, he claimed, if I'm not mistaken, that Stacy was at home all day while they were out running around doing this and that and the other. But he just said a lot of weird things that, just, I don't know. Some people can blink the wrong way in an interview, and you're like, oh, that's suspect. Oh, that's suspect. But I can tell when somebody is really suspect, like really for real suspect, and, catching lies and catching, oh, well, you said this about 5 minutes ago, but now you're saying this. I'm pretty good at that. And working in the bar business as long as I did, I've come to know people and human behavior really well. So, I make a lot of my theories and speculations in cases revolve around human behavior, as how I know people to behave. Now, not everybody behaves the same way, especially when it comes to reacting to trauma or death or anything like that. Everyone grieves differently. But as far as just typical everyday human behavior, criminal behavior, and things like that, I'm pretty good at seeing that and judging that and being able to apply it in cases, and in an effort to theorize what could have possibly happened in a case. Kind of having to do that now, really with the Idaho 4 case. But anyway, yeah. So Adrian and Brandon Shurtliff, turn yourselves in. Because if they have to cross state lines and come and get you, it's going to be far worse for you than you could ever imagine. Rather than just go on and turn yourself in. I don't know really anything about this Adrian guy, but this Brandon guy, who, as I said, was interviewed by Jonathan Lee Riches, you done opened your mouth, buddy, and come out and talked. And YouTube is a public forum. Jonathan's videos are public for anyone to view. The police can view that, and they can use that against you in a court of law. So, thank you, Jonathan Lee Riches, actually, for nailing that little interview. Because hopefully it's going to lead to another arrest, and hopefully bring things to an end, and we find out exactly what happened to Michael Monkey Vaughn and where his remains are. So, sometimes I don't always agree with Jonathan's methods. I think he's a nice guy, and I think he truly means well. But sometimes, I don't always agree with his methods. But hey, he gets the job done. He's a journalist. He's a investigative journalist. And that's what what investigative journalists do. They get the interview. They chase down, the leads and whatnot. I have actually, not only do I have 3 years of criminal justice, I also have 3 years of journalism. And I made an A on every paper that I ever wrote in college. The only problem my journalism professor had with me is that she never liked to have broke me from writing gonna instead of going to. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, instead of I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She liked to never have broke me of that. But, she always loved my papers. She always loved, everything I did. And, I do love doing interviews. I have interviewed people. I have been interviewed many times for the news and things like that. But I just have certain morals from being raised in a different era than what people have today, that there are just certain lines and certain boundaries I won't cross. I don't begrudge anybody else from doing it if that's, the line of work that you choose to do. But me, I'm going to ask you for an interview. I'm going to ask you if I can film you. I'm going to do things the proper way. I'm not going to come dig through your trash. I'm not going to come chase you down. I'm not going to call your friends or your enemies or your mother and dad and grandparents and second uncle twice removed. That's just not me. But I get it. To be an investigative journalist, you have to be competitive. But that's just not me. I prefer to do things in a more etiquette and professional way. But we're in the era of TMZ and Perez Hilton, where in my era, like the Globe and the Inquirer always had the crazy headlines and stuff, or got the inside scoop or things like that. I respect people's privacy. My favorite Bible verse is, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. And I would never want anyone to disrespect me or in any way, and I'm not going to disrespect anyone as well. But nowadays there's a lot of that going on, and things have just gotten taken too far with trying to be the first to break a story and all that. Some of those families of the children that were in the Kobe Bryant plane crash did not even know their loved ones had not been alerted by the police, had not been even informed yet. And it's questionable, and I'm not for sure how it all turned out. I know Vanessa Bryant went through a bunch of lawsuits with different people, but TMZ broke that story before loved ones were even informed. And that's, I would never want to be responsible for doing that to someone. I know how it has felt to me to wake up and find out and log into my Facebook and find out that my cousin, 17-year-old cousin, was dead. I found out one of my childhood best friends growing up had taken her own life. Find that out on Facebook. Like I said, I was just raised in a different era, and where, people had more moral respect. And we didn't have social media and things like that. Yeah, you might pick up the newspaper and read in the obituaries, oh, Miss Judy Smith died, But now, everything is just plastered. Like, no one has any thought in their head, oh, maybe I shouldn't post the car of the demolished car of this 17-year-old girl died in, because her family, her first blood family, doesn't even know yet that she's been in this wreck and that this has happened. To wake up and find out something like that plastered all over Facebook was devastating for me and my daughter, because I'm screaming like a wild banshee for her to get up, get up, get up. Something's happened to Drew. And, you know, you come up out of a dead sleep like that to your mother screaming that something has happened to your counterpart cousin. I say counterpart cousin because even though Drew was a little older than my youngest daughter, she was actually my cousin's middle child. And her youngest daughter was actually my youngest daughter. They were both the same age and stuff. But as far as build, my daughter and my cousin's daughter, Drew, were built a lot alike, and they were the tall, you know, thin ones. Anyway, I'm sorry, you just don't want to wake up like that and find things like that out. So, you know, try to be respectful in the things that you do, because people do get hurt. And I will be talking more about that later in the Idaho 4 case. The police still haven't found, as far as we know, they haven't found any of Michael Monkey Vaughn's remains. They did state that they are going to be probing and digging into a neighbor's yard. Whoever lives there has given consensual permission for the police to dig and search in that yard. Because when Sarah first started rambling about involvement in this case, or having knowledge about the disappearance of Michael Monkey Vaughn, she kept saying that Adrian and Stacy buried him in the neighbor's yard. But then she allegedly turned around and said, oh, he's buried out by the garage, little storage building there in their own yard. Unfortunately, they dug up that whole yard and found nothing. So, now I guess they're going to search one of the neighbors' yards. Don't know yet who that, pardon me. Don't know yet who that is or which house it is. Sarah's mother, who lives diagonally across the street from them, from the back side of their house. A lot of fishy stuff with her as well in this case, and she's 3 fries short of a Happy Meal too. Everybody involved in the possible disappearance and death of Michael Monkey Vaughn is seriously questionable. There are SOs in that neighborhood that just too close. And I've had that experience before. I had an SO living around the corner from me and did not know until my ex-sister-in-law came over to my house one night. She wanted to use my computer, and she was looking up some information on an SO. And she said, "Hey, Amy, did you know you have an SO living around the corner from you?" And I'm like, "What?" Sure enough. I mean, within hollering distance. And I was like, how can that be? How can an SO be living in a residential neighborhood surrounding full of kids? Because I know I've known of guys that did something stupid, or whatever, and just, I'm not saying that any of it's right, but it's not like they didn't hurt a small child or a child younger than a certain age. It was more like a 25-year-old and a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old, And even though that's wrong and against the law, once upon a time, it wasn't as frowned upon and looked at as pedophilia until now, because when I was 16 years old, I had a boyfriend that was like 25 or old. He was older than 21. I ran around with a whole crowd and crew of people that were, when I was 16, that were 21 and over, because they were sneaking me in BJ's Star-Studded Honky Tonk in through the side door. Which, call it what you want to and say, oh my God, you're horrible, or your friends are horrible. But back in my time, it was not a big deal. So, but yeah, me and my friends dated older guys and stuff. It just wasn't that big of a deal or frowned upon the way it is now. But I've known guys like that, and they, have a hard time when they get out of jail or get out of prison or whatever, because they can't live this distance from a school or a park or kids, or their girlfriend can't have kids, or or whatnot. And so they have a hard time finding places to live. So how does an actual child predator get into a residential neighborhood full of kids? And this is what's really going to make you sick. That Halloween, they had every light around their house on. Carport light, porch light, in the house lights, all of them on. I mean, it was lit up like Christmas. And when I took my daughter trick-or-treating, our neighborhood backs up to another neighborhood, and the neighborhood that it backs up to, there was a lot of people sitting out by their mailboxes in lawn chairs and stuff with buckets of candy for the trick-or-treaters. And I stopped and talked to the man who was sitting outside his house by his mailbox that was directly in behind these people's houses. He knew about the guy being an SO, and could clearly see them having all their lights and stuff on. And he was pissed. He was pissed. I was pissed. So when the next year rolled around, Halloween rolled around again, I went to the police department and found someone to talk to and tell them and ask them about this, because at that time I was hearing on the radio that they were making a big deal out of SOs not being able to have their lights on for trick-or-treaters, or some were even being required to go to meetings and things like that. But and they assured me that that wouldn't be happening this particular Halloween a year later. So I don't know how these people are ending up in these residential neighborhoods and whatnot. But I do hope that they are able to get to the bottom and to the truth of what happened to Michael Monkey Vaughn, and that they will either find his remains so that he can be buried properly and his parents can have some type of closure, and then we will go into a prosecution and conviction of the horrible people that did this, and Michael Monkey Vaughn will get some justice. He will get the justice that he deserves, and the sooner the better on that, because these parents have been living with this anguish for over a year now. And I don't know. I just don't. I don't know that I'm a strong person, but I just don't know that I could survive something like that. I really don't. My kids are all I have and all I have left, and without them, I have absolutely no purpose on this earth. So, So hopefully Michael Monkey Vaughn will be seeing the justice that he deserves soon. My thoughts and prayers and love, as always, go out to Brandy and Tyler, Monkey's parents. They've been through hell, literal hell. And, just I just don't understand anybody hurting little innocent children like that. They should just all be hung by their toenails. Sickening. It's a sick world we live in, and it's just going to get sicker. It gets sicker every day. I don't know what Jesus is waiting on, but I just don't see anything getting better. I'm a light worker, so and but don't let me get off on a preaching rant. Anyway, want to thank you all for listening. Thank you, Pam, for coming in and chit-chatting with me. And please, if you love all things true crime, and you want to hear about current cases and even old cases, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell and switch it to all, and that way you know when I go live, when I upload a video or anything like that. And give this video a thumbs up and help me get into that thing they call the algorithm, and help me grow my little channel here. I've got something I'm really excited about coming up, either this month or next month. It just depends on a few other things, but I am planning something really cool, and really special, not only for myself, but for my viewers. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to take you all on a true crime tour. I'm going to take you all on a little road trip on a little true crime tour and cover some like 3 or 4 cases. So I'm really excited about it. I'm getting all my ducks in a row and plans and everything together. It's just that when I make plans, I kind of have to do it, you know, a day or two before I do something, because it never fails. If I try to, like today's Thursday, if I say I'm going to go and do such and such Sunday, something will happen between now and then that I won't be able to. So sometimes my plans, even though they're pre-planned, they get done at the last minute. So anyway, but I want to thank you all for stopping by. Like I said, please hit the like button and hit the subscribe button and notification bell. I will be back at 6 to discuss the Idaho 4 case. So come back and stay tuned and listen to that if you are following that case. And as always, everyone, please remember, be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Peace out, everyone. See you soon.